Hey, Facebook friends. I just had a breakthrough and I've been crying, cry laughing. And I wasn't sure if now was a good time to share about it, but it feels like it is. So I'm just gonna tell you the story. um, so I've been on this path, this personal path of really having faith in the universe for supporting me. And that doesn't mean not taking action and blah, 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 blah. It's just really about where do I source my trust in being supported. And it's been a hard road because changing what I believe and what my consciousness is oriented toward takes a lot of work. So I've done a lot of work on this, and today I was really noticing in my morning journaling that my mind was starting to get agitated again and was starting to try and figure out something or chase down opportunities or something like that. So it's just like, and it's so exhausting and it's so not effective. I can make a lot of things happen, but I can't make support happen. And it blocks the flow from the universe. I know that. So I'm like, okay, brain, why are you doing this? Why are you freaking out? Why are you agitating when we know this isn't effective? And I did some tapping on it because I know that unlocks, just information in the psyche. And it gave me this part of me, this young part of me, this experience I had in, I believe, 6th grade. So here's one of those shameful stories. You know how we all have those moments where when we live them, we're just like, oh God, and get that flush of shame. This is one of the few that I hadn't done something with. So I was in 6th grade, and my teacher says to the class, hey, tomorrow's National Science Day, or something like that. And I have these special buttons, these pins, and anyone who wants to bring in a science experiment tomorrow gets a pin. And who wants to do it? And for some reason, my hand shoots up. Me, I want this pin. And he goes around and he hands out, I don't know, 3 or 4 of them. And then as soon as he hands it to me, I remember sitting there and looking at it and being like, what the hell did I just agree to do? I don't want this stupid pin. Who cares about this pin? I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do. But I'm like, okay. And I was, I thought it was better to figure it out than to go tell him, I don't know what I'm going to do. And I go home and, I have a working mom. I'm a latchkey kid of a divorced parent. And so there's not really anybody to ask, and it didn't occur to me, I guess, to go to the library, and I'm just so much more suited for this time when we can just look stuff up. But at the time I go home and I'm sort of like, what am I gonna do? I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I guess I'm gonna figure it out. I probably asked my mom for some ideas, and she was kind of like, I don't really know, sweetheart, I guess you'll figure it out. And sorry, Mom, if you don't remember this, or if I didn't say enough, but at the time, I thought, oh, no audio. Really? Can you guys hear me? Let me know if you can't hear me. Somebody's saying that there's no audio. Because that would be a bummer if I was talking this whole time. Can you hear me? Give me a yes or a thumbs up or something if you can hear me, if you're watching this. Somebody say something. Saying notes. I don't know what that means. Anybody else who's watching, can you hear me? Okay, Addie is saying she can hear me, it looks like. So I'm just going to keep going and hope that there's an audio. Miles still says no audio. Okay. Anybody else? Can you hear me? Let me know. Addie, okay, thank you. All right, Miles, I'm sorry. I don't know why you're not getting the audio. Anyway, so here's what happens. So I go home. I just sort of think, well, I'm racking my brain, like this is what happens. I'm like, well, no other help is coming, so I guess I have to figure something out. And the idea that comes to me is of this time where one of my teachers he fooled us by bringing seltzer water with raisins in it, and he told us they were little organisms and they were like jumping around because of the seltzer water. And I thought, oh, I remember how he did that. I bet I can do that too. That's sort of science-y, right? I don't know. So I find that we have seltzer water in the house because Mom's not taking me to the store to get stuff for some experiment. She's not going to do it. And again, maybe if I had demanded in a different way or asked, it would have gone differently. But we happen to have seltzer water, like some Canada Dry or something. And so she didn't want me to take the whole bottle, so I poured some in a thermos, and we had those little, we didn't have raisins, but we had those little metal cookie decorating beads, and I tried it at home. I poured some seltzer water in a glass and put the beads in, and they would move around. I'm like, I'm sure that's some kind of science, right? That's a thing. So I bring some in a little baggie, and I take it to school the next day, and what do you think happened? I opened the thermos to demonstrate this science experiment, and the water was flat, so nothing happened. And I remember being so embarrassed because I felt like I was, I'd volunteered for this thing and I should know what to do, and I totally had effed it up. So even this morning, thinking of this memory, I had that flush of shame. I was just like, oh God, that was so embarrassing. I felt so bad. And so this part was saying to me, this is why I agitate, because if I don't do something, no help is coming. If that brain hadn't done that at least and made an attempt, well, I would have had nothing. I would have just shown up and been like, sorry, suck it. I guess I didn't do my assignment. I'm a jerk, So at least I tried something even though it failed. And my teacher didn't shame me. I think he just sort of helped me understand why or whatever. So as I'm connecting with that part now, and I'm saying, well, now I have these resources to actually make things happen. And if I take leaps or make risks, then I know how to action on that. And because it sort of wasn't helping that little part of me feel any different, so I'm like, why don't we look up a science experiment now that you could have done? So I did that. I'm just like, easy kid science experiments, and found something where you light matches on a plate of water with a vase over it, and it sucks the water up, and that would have been amazing. I totally could have done that. She felt better. But then as I was connecting with that part and being like, hey, I get why that was really hard, and sort of, she was kind of asking me, like, where was God then? Where was the universe then? Like, why didn't I have more support then? Like, I get that I have you now, but what was the purpose of that? And it makes me really emotional, but I'm like, you were so brave. That part of me was so brave. She would just take these huge risks and not know how it was going to work out, and she kept doing it anyway. That is not the first time or the last time that I would do stuff like that. She's the one who didn't give up and taught me to be a visionary. The stuff I do now, like, I've been working for myself for 10 years, and I've been breaking a path this whole time, and if I hadn't had those experiences then, I wouldn't have known how to roll with failure. I wouldn't have known how to recognize early in an experimentation that something wasn't going to pan out and I needed to try a different avenue. I wouldn't have known to build backup plans. Like, if I had, say I had parents who were like, ooh, you're going to do a science experiment, that's not going to work out, let's do this. At some point I was going to have to fall, In order to learn stuff, we have to fail. And she was brave enough to fail, and I'm so proud of her. Like my little innovator in me. I have failed so many times, and it's been okay. Like, it's something to be proud of. It's no longer something I'm ashamed of. Because I couldn't have written my book, I couldn't be teaching whole new theoretical concepts. Like, no one gave me permission to do this. No one taught me how to do this. I'm the one who built it. And I did it through experimentation and failure and eventual success. And I think about, as kids, that's all we're doing is trying and failing, right? And a lot of us just learn to shut it off because it's too painful, it's too embarrassing, it's too hard. And I'm just so grateful that's not what I did. You know, I'm so grateful that even though I have that shameful experience of that completely failed science experiment, that, you know, years later I went on to do stuff like audition for the musical, and I couldn't figure out how to find music or read it or get an accompanist, so I just sang something a cappella from a tape that I had listened to and practiced, and I didn't get in, and it was totally humiliating, and I was shaking the whole time, but you know what? I learned so much from that. I got some of the most humiliating experiences of my life out of these moments, and I didn't die. It didn't wound me. It didn't damage my reputation in some terrible, unhealable way. I came through it, and I learned again how to better prepare in the future. So I just wanted to share not just the story, but that this is what alchemy looks like. That I focused my consciousness on what was going on in my mind, sourced the root of it, and then brought it into a whole different reframe, a whole different consciousness for me about, you know, it was originally about why support wasn't there, and why as an adult it felt like some kind of support wasn't there, and why I needed to like try hard and do stuff anyway and panic and whatever. And I'm just changing it into a whole different story, because that's what needed to happen then, but that's not what needs to happen now. It made sense at the time with what I had, and now I have so much more, and I really appreciate all the hearts and the likes. Thanks, guys, for sharing your your interest and support. I hope this is helpful for you. It really needed to be shared, and my heart feels good at being seen and sharing with you. Thank you so much. And any comments or shared stories or thoughts are welcome, always. I read them all and I comment on them all. Blessings to you and your innovations.